Welcome to Module 1 of our course on Dimensional Dramaturgy. In this opening module, we'll focus on the theoretical foundations, the roots, the principles, and the conceptual tools that will allow us to understand dramaturgy not just as a literary or theatrical craft, but as a multi-layered, multi-dimensional art form. By the end of this module, you will be able to explain the historical evolution of dramaturgy, define what we mean by dimensions in dramatic art, compare classical and modern approaches to dramaturgy, understand how time, space, character depth, and narrative layering work together in theater, identify the role of the dramaturg in creating multidimensional experiences. We will not rush. Each section will unpack ideas carefully, drawing on examples from history, contemporary theater, and intercultural performance traditions. Section 1: The Origins and Evolution of Dramaturgy. Dramaturgy, in its simplest sense, is the art and craft of dramatic composition and theatrical representation. The term itself comes from the Greek word dramaturgos, drama worker or maker of plays. Its earliest seeds can be found in ancient Greece around the 5th century BC. Theater in this era was not just entertainment, it was deeply connected to civic life, religion, and philosophical inquiry. The tragedies of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and the comedies of Aristophanes, were highly structured works that blended poetic language, choral movement, and moral questioning. Even in those times, dramaturgy was multidimensional, combining narrative, ritual, music, and physical space. The formalization of dramaturgical thought began with Aristotle's Poetics, written around 335 BC. Aristotle outlined what he believed to be the key components of a well-constructed tragedy: plot, character, thought, diction, melody, and spectacle. His emphasis on plot unity, catharsis, and logical cause-and-effect relationships shaped Western dramatic theory for centuries. Fast forward to the 18th century, the German playwright and critic Gotthold Ephraim Lessing became the first person to hold an official title as a dramaturg at the Hamburg National Theatre. Lessing's Hamburg Dramaturgy was a groundbreaking series of essays analyzing plays and advocating for dramaturgy as an independent intellectual role, a mediator between the playwright, the director, and the audience. From the 19th century onward, dramaturgy evolved alongside theater movements. The naturalists like Émile Zola and Henrik Ibsen emphasized psychological realism and social commentary. The symbolists used dreamlike, poetic imagery to explore inner states of mind. Bertolt Brecht in the 20th century revolutionized dramaturgy with his epic theater, which sought to provoke critical thinking rather than emotional immersion. Post-dramatic theater, a term popularized by Hans Thies Lehmann in the late 20th century, questioned linear narrative altogether, often replacing it with fragmented, multimodal experiences. What's important to note here is that dramaturgy has always been dimensional, whether consciously acknowledged or not. The early Greeks blended music, dance, and poetry. Brecht fused political discourse with visual staging. Today, immersive theater combines performance with architecture, sound design, and even audience movement. Section 2: Defining dimensions in dramatic art. When we speak of dimensional dramaturgy, we're talking about layering, the creation of depth in theatrical storytelling through multiple, interacting components. These dimensions include, but are not limited to: temporal dimension, how time is structured and experienced in the performance. This can involve chronological time, flashbacks, time loops, simultaneity, or nonlinear structures. Spatial dimension, the physical and imagined spaces of performance, including the stage design, audience arrangement, and the use of offstage or environmental space. Character dimension, the psychological depth and complexity of characters, as well as how they evolve in the audience's perception. Narrative dimension, the interplay of multiple storylines, perspectives, and thematic threads. Sensory dimension, the use of sound, light, movement, and texture to engage the audience's senses beyond dialogue. Cultural and intertextual dimension, the way a performance resonates with, quotes, or reinterprets other works, traditions, or historical events. In dimensional dramaturgy, these aspects do not exist in isolation. They are interwoven, influencing each other to create a richer theatrical tapestry. For example, a play that uses a fragmented timeline, temporal dimension, might also shift locations fluidly, spatial dimension, while the audience reconsiders their perception of the protagonist, character dimension. Section 3. Classical versus modern dramaturgical approaches. Classical dramaturgy emphasizes unity, coherence, and linearity. In Aristotelian terms, this means a beginning, middle, and end. A clear protagonist and antagonist. Logical cause and effect progression. A resolution that restores order. Modern dramaturgy, especially in the postmodern era, often rejects these constraints. It may break linear time, blur the boundary between actor and audience, use multimedia elements, embrace ambiguity or open-ended conclusions. Let's compare an example. Classical, Oedipus Rex follows strict unity of time, place, and action. Everything occurs in one location, in a single day, with a clear chain of events. Modern, Carol Churchill's Top Girls jumps between centuries in a dinner party scene and blends fictional and historical figures in ways that defy linear logic. Understanding both approaches is essential for dimensional dramaturgy because, in practice, many productions mix them, using classical structure as a base but layering modern techniques to expand dimensionality. Section 4. Time, Space, and Depth in Dramaturgy. In dimensional dramaturgy, time is not just a sequence, it's a tool for meaning-making. Think of Harold Pinter's Betrayal, which unfolds in reverse chronology. The temporal shift changes how we perceive the character's emotional arcs. Space can be equally powerful. Consider site-specific theater like Punch Drunk Sleep No More, where audiences wander through a multi-room environment, encountering fragments of the Macbeth story in nonlinear order. Depth comes from the way characters and narratives evolve. It's not simply about realistic character psychology. Depth can also be created through symbolic layering, contradictions, and the interplay between what is shown and what is withheld. Section 5. The role of the dramaturg in multidimensional staging. In a traditional sense, the dramaturg was a researcher and script advisor. In dimensional dramaturgy, the dramaturg becomes a systems thinker, mapping how the multiple dimensions of a production interrelate. Responsibilities include researching historical, cultural, and thematic context. Assisting the director in aligning design, performance, and narrative layers. Maintaining thematic coherence while encouraging creative experimentation. Facilitating audience engagement strategies in immersive or participatory work. Section 6. Integrating theatrical elements. Dimensional dramaturgy demands that no element is an afterthought. Scenography, lighting, sound, and choreography are not just supports for the text, they are active storytellers. For example, lighting can signal temporal shifts. Sound can establish location or emotional tone. Movement can reveal relationships without words. When these elements are consciously integrated, the audience experiences a layered reality, where multiple meanings operate simultaneously. This wraps up Module 1, in which we established the historical foundations, defined the key dimensions, compared classical and modern approaches, and examined the dramaturg's role in multidimensional theater.